For the first set of notes in our New Nations unit, we're going to be reviewing communism and the Koreas, as well as getting a little bit of additional information. So just as a review, communism is a system where the government owns most businesses and land and controls all areas of life. So the goal of communism is to eliminate the idea of capitalism, where there is a large working class, or people who must work to survive, and a small capitalist class, who gain profit through competition. So the idea of communism is to get rid of this idea of capitalism. Communism is supposed to bring the socioeconomic classes together and create a more equal society, so that every citizen has the same resources as everyone else. Today, some of the modern communist countries are China, Cuba, Laos, North Korea, and Vietnam. So in class, we've talked about all of these except Laos, and Laos is located right next to Vietnam. So just a review of the history of Korea. After World War II, Korea split into two zones. The northern zone was occupied by Soviet forces, and they were helping to defend communism. The southern zone was occupied by the United States, and they were working to spread democracy. So in 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea in an effort to reunite the two countries under one communist government. This was the Korean War, which is an example of a civil war, just like we had in the United States. The countries are still split today due to their different ideas on how to run the countries, their different political ideologies. The countries have been partitioned, meaning they've been divided, by the demilitarized zone, which is heavily guarded on both sides. And that's what this image in the corner is showing you. This pink line is the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. So after the war, post-war, South Korea had a thriving economy and is actually ranked in the top of producers for Asia. South Korea exports goods such as automobiles, textiles, electronics, and has a very skilled workforce. They are very much a capitalist society, a democratic society. North Korea is kind of like the opposite. So North Korea is a closed society under a communist dictatorship. The country is not urbanized or industrialized like South Korea is, meaning they are not as advanced. It is difficult, sometimes impossible, for residents to get news of the outside world and for the outside world to see in. So not only is it difficult for citizens who live in North Korea to know what's going on outside of North Korea, it's hard for people outside of North Korea to know what's going on in there. So our current leaders, Park Geun-hye leads the Democratic Society in the South. She is the first woman to be elected president in South Korea. She is also the first woman head of state in modern history of Northeast Asia. Then in the north, we have Kim Jong-un, who's known as Brilliant Comrade. He became North Korea's leader in 2011 after the death of his father. He is the world's youngest head of state. So the leader before Kim Jong-un was his father, and the leader before that was his grandfather. So family is taking over the reins of the country as people are dying. So in terms of reunification, for years many people have wanted both countries to come together, to be reunited as Korea again. Government leaders have met many times in the 2000s for a discussion on how to improve relationships. However, things have not improved because the main issue is the government. South Korea has democracy and North Korea has a communist society, and they are not going to get rid of those. So that is the main problem for why they are not rejoining together. So some of the current concerns is that North Korea continues to discuss its nuclear capabilities, which causes international concern. There's also malnutrition in the north. 10 people die daily of starvation in 5 of the poorest northern provinces. Famine deaths, meaning deaths from starvation, is on the rise in North Korea. Many North Koreans are actually trying to become refugees due to conditions in the country but are having trouble leaving. So that is why this is a current concern in the world today.